A twin invasion in West Asia. This is what the war has come to. We are looking at two parallel ground scenarios, American boots in Iran and Israel occupying southern Lebanon. So then the question is, will West Asia succumb to the twin invasions? I'm Ananya Datta. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's start with the speculation around a US ground operation in Iran. The chatter has been there since the very start, but the possibility has increased because of three reasons. First, Iran has outrightly rejected Washington's proposal. Tehran has called them maximalist. Second, over the weekend, 3,500 additional soldiers arrived in West Asia on board the USS Tripoli. And the third reason, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Pentagon is preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran. Now, while a ground invasion of Iran is definitely a dangerous new phase of the war, should President Donald Trump choose to escalate, it becomes important to define what it means. No serious military planners in Washington is talking about invading Iran outright. It could be closer to what the US did during the hunt for Osama bin Laden, the 9/11 mastermind. Experts say we are looking at raids measured in hours or days, not weeks or months. You see, the reason is simple. Iran is nothing like any other country the US has gone to war with. It is vast, it is geographically difficult, its territory stretches far beyond Iraq's desert or even Afghanistan's mountains. Supply lines would have to be secured across hundreds of miles of hostile territory through desert, plains and mountain ranges. In Iraq and Afghanistan, the US could move relatively quickly against conventional forces because it had help from the neighbors. In Iran, it will be much more complicated. We have Turkmenistan in the north, we have Afghanistan and Pakistan in the east, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey and Iraq in the west, and the Persian Gulf in the south. Now, if ground troops were deployed, the first phase would resemble the early stages of Iraq. Heavy bombardment with clear directions for the soldiers. Media reports suggest that discussions within the administration over the past months have touched upon the possible seizure of Kharg Island, where about 90% of Iran's oil is processed. There is also talk of possible raids into other coastal areas near the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this is to find and destroy weapons that can target commercial and military shipping. Now, experts say it may be safer for US forces to lay mines around these islands and use it as a pressure point to compel Iran to remove any mines it has laid in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, neither of which is going to be an easy task. But unlike Iraq, Iran's armed forces are not decimated by decades of internal collapse. You see, the security apparatus of Iran is separate and has built itself with the explicit expectation of a conflict with the United States. They have entrenched defensive positions, advanced missiles and drone systems, and significant conventional forces. In fact, we did a detailed story on this about the 5 war strategies Iran is using to fight this asymmetric war. You can check out the story by clicking on the top right corner. Coming back to this story, it looks like early combat in Iran could be intense and drawn out. And if the special operation is not smooth and fast, then Iran will end up having the upper hand. Because the US would face the enormous task of logistics and occupation, housing the troops, security supply lines, and protecting bases in hostile territory that are already under attack. Israel's actions in Lebanon are flying under the radar because the world is focused on Iran. But some of the scenes coming out of southern Lebanon resemble Gaza. Iran-backed group Hezbollah joined the current war on the 3rd day, and ever since, the motive has been to stretch Israel on all fronts, to overwhelm its defenses. But the cost has been the threat of an unofficial ground invasion. This week, the Israeli military has been instructed to widen its invasion of Lebanon, expanding a security area that it intends to use as a buffer zone.
In Lebanon, I have just instructed to further expand the existing security zone in order to decisively thwart the threat of invasion and to push anti-tank missile fire away from our border.
Israel has already ordered all residents south of Lebanon's Litani River to leave the area to form a buffer zone. With boots on the ground, it says it intends to set up a security zone extending 30 kilometers from the Israeli border. And they say that this will in fact achieve and push Hezbollah fighters and destroy launch sites. But as Israel started to pour more troops into southern Lebanon, civilians have had to flee far as the Zaharani River, which is right here. Now, dozens of kilometers north of Israel's borders at points. Israeli officials and analysts have increasingly argued that airstrikes alone cannot neutralize Hezbollah. Meanwhile, attacks in the capital city of Beirut and other major cities continue as we speak.
Dear citizens of Israel, I of course cannot share these discussions with you, but I can tell you this: we are determined to fundamentally change the situation in the north.
With the war already in its second month, will West Asia succumb to the twin invasions? You see, on paper, these are not invasions. They are designed to be limited, calculated strikes, short missions, controlled escalations. But wars are never fought on paper to begin with. A limited American operation in Iran does not guarantee a limited Iranian response. An Israeli buffer zone in Lebanon is an active war zone for Hezbollah. So here is where the war stands right now. Iran says it is ready for any war scenario. The US president is looking for an off-ramp that can end the war, and Netanyahu says the bombings won't stop unless the goals are achieved. We can sit and analyze what the logical next step is, but this war is not logical. It's a product of politics, religion, and generational trauma. I'm Ananya Datta. Thanks for watching.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.